185th pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Will Howard, quarterback, Ohio State.
Will, you had the Hey Rookie crew following you around. Have you gone back and watched any of that just to kind of relive the draft experience?
Really haven't, to be honest with you, but I kind of watched it as it was going through. It was kind of weird. Like sometimes I'd be in like bars or like restaurants and I'd see it on the TV, and that was kind of weird. I did watch it back a couple times, and they always sent it to me before they sent it out, and it was really cool. It was kind of cool to just get to watch myself go through the draft process, because you don't really get a lot of time to sit back and kind of appreciate what you're doing and look back at what you've been doing and all the work that I put in, and it was cool, and it was a long process, but I'm glad to be here and finally just play ball again.
Besides the Hey Rookie crew being there when you got the call from Pittsburgh, what do you remember most about that moment, the people you were with, and maybe the feelings that came out of you?
I remember sitting there, I was sitting on my couch pretty much, the first 3 days, and nothing day one, obviously nothing day two, and then day three starts, and I'm sitting on my couch, and we had all the hats sitting there lined up, ready, all the camera crew ready for me to be sitting in that seat, and a couple times I just got a little impatient or wanted to get up and get a snack, so I ended up right during the 6th round I stood up and I went to the kitchen just because I was tired of sitting in the same spot all day, and that was where I got the call. It was just a relief, seeing that number come up, the 412 number with Pittsburgh Steelers over top. I had gotten prank called a couple times, so it was nice to actually have a real one.
It is awesome getting a couple national champions, man, because you guys know what's required, man. Congratulations, man, to you. You deserve it, man, to your family.
It was just a relief, like a weight off my shoulders, and just all of the work kind of coming to fruition, and just an amazing moment, and super blessed.
Why did you want it to be Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I just felt like throughout the whole process, I had dinner with Coach Tomlin and Coach Smith and Omar at Pro Day. I had a formal with them at the Combine, and every time I interacted with them, it just felt like they were genuine people. Everything I've heard about this organization is that it's really, it's a historic organization, and everyone that has come through here has nothing but good things to say about the people. Yeah, obviously it's my home state, I'm close to home, I'm close to Columbus. There's a lot of things to like about it, and the team is a great tradition of winning, and Coach T's done a phenomenal job of pumping out playoff teams year in and year out. So I'm just excited to be a part of this organization. It's storied, there's a lot of history, and it's a blessing to be a part of.
What was that Pro Day dinner like?
When you're preparing for all those interviews and meetings and dinners, you're ready for a real formal setting. You're ready to sit down and chop this, question, answer. But it was super laid back. And Coach T was like, listen, man, like before we even got started, he just said, I just want us to just kick it and get to know each other and have a good time. Just break a little bread, food and fellowship, and that's what he's about. And I really appreciated that. I thought that was different than most of the meetings I'd been a part of, and it stuck out to me. And I sat next to Arthur, and we got to talk a lot, and just about ourselves, and how I like to get coached, and what I think is good about my game, and all those different things. We just got to kind of chop it up, and it was great. It was super laid back, it was relaxed, but it just felt right. It felt normal, felt comfortable. There was probably 12 of us Ohio State guys, and we had a ball.
What is it like to have Captain Jack here, and how did you guys get the invite to Ben Roethlisberger's house?
Yeah, so that was amazing. Obviously, seeing Jack get drafted to the Steelers, I was like, that just adds up. That just makes sense. Just a gritty guy, blue collar, just going to the Steelers. It just felt like it made sense. And then I'm sitting there waiting, and I had said throughout the whole process to all my boys, from Ohio State, I was like, I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be any certain person, but I just hope that I land with one guy from Ohio State, like one teammate. And obviously, as fate would have it, here we are, me and Jack, and it just worked out super well. He was one of the first calls I made after I jumped in my pool. I FaceTimed Jack, and I know I screenshotted something and they posted that everywhere, and it's super cool, just super cool to be back with him. We developed a real special bond last year at at Ohio State. I wish I got more time with him, but you know, here we are. We get some more time.
You do. In terms of after you got drafted, your mom did an interview and said that you were bugging the coaches to get the playbook, and they were like, just enjoy the weekend. Like, we'll see you when you come in. What does that say about you?
I mean, yeah, you know, my mom loves to talk about my work ethic and all that. And, you know, I did send a text to Coach Arth like the day after I got drafted, just because, you know, I was sitting there, you know, a week and a half till rookie minicamp. I didn't really have anything to do. So I was like, I might as well get a jump on this playbook and get into it. And, I think that's what I like to hang my hat on is working hard. And, you know, I may not be the most talented guy in the world all the time, but I'm going to outwork everybody. And that's kind of, you know, what I like to be about, and bringing the heart, bringing the fire, and just outworking people. What
was his pitch like when he tried to recruit you to Akron?
Oh man, it was a long time ago. I barely remember, but I remember him, you know, telling me he believed I was an NFL quarterback, and you know, there weren't a lot of teams that would say things like that, you know, and obviously, you know, I had aspirations of playing in the Power 5, and that's probably why I, you know, passed up on Akron. But you know, I really respected Coach Arth, and you know, really loved what he did. Lastly for you, tell me the characteristics that make you a good quarterback. You know, I think first and foremost is my leadership. You know, I think, you know, I'm a relationships-based guy, and that's what I'm working on right now. You know, I know I'm a rookie. I want to stay in my lane and make sure that I'm smart about that, but I also want to get to know everyone in the locker room and build those relationships, you know, because they're not going to, you know, they're not going to care how much I know unless they know how much I care, you know, and that's something I think is really important to me, is just getting to build those relationships, and I'm trying to take that time to do that right now, and I know it's a process. You know, being a rookie, I understand how this league works. You know, I think that's number one, and then my ability to process, you know, and understand the game. I think that sets me apart as a quarterback. But you know, and then I think third, I would just say my work ethic. You know, and never taking no for an answer. Always, you know, wanting to outwork everyone, and that's kind of what I like to hang my hat on.
Perfect. Thanks, Will.
Thanks, Missy.